Dear students, this is the last theory of this unit coordination chemistry 2. Its name is ligand field theory or molecular orbital theory. As we have discussed in last lecture that CFT has a certain limitations, and as we also know that it always form metal ligand bond on the basis of pure ionic bond. Okay, and in this theory there is a crystal field theory. There is a no scope for covalent character, but in certain experiment it is observed that the covalent character is also present in metal ligand formation. So this is the biggest limitations of crystal field theory, and it will be easily overcome by molecular orbital theory. So in crystal field theory, you don't have to consider the covalent character, but as I told you, it is also evidence that some of the complex possess covalent bonding. So in ligand field theory or molecular orbital theory is same as like pure CFT crystal field theory, but you have to only include covalent character. Okay, and as you know that if I'm talking about the hydrogen, so the electronic configuration is 1s1. So in if I'm talking about hydrogen atom, so there is a one electron in their outermost orbital. Similarly, if I want to prepare a hydrogen molecule, it means what I need two hydrogen atom. So here I am taking two hydrogen atom, and this is known as a bonding orbital, and this is an anti-bonding orbital. Okay, both are same. There is only difference between the energy, and bonding orbital are stable. So first you have to uh, put electron into bonding orbital. So as we know that here hydrogen is a one electron. Okay, here one electron, so that's why I put both electron in my bonding orbital, and there is no electron in my anti-bonding orbital, so that's why bonding orbital are always stable. Okay, so orbital overlaps, that is the covalent character is excessive in metal complex, and the molecular orbital theory gives more complete explanations of the metal ligand bonding. So, in ligand field theory differs from the VV theory by recognizing the existence of antibonding as well as bonding and non-bonding orbital. So, in generally, in this kind of diagram, bonding orbitals are always at the bottom, whereas antibonding orbitals are always at the top, and there may be a possibility of sometimes there are some orbital which is near in between, so that particular orbital is known as a non-bonding orbital. Okay, in non-bonding orbital there are some types of electrons are present. Suppose if I am talking about the chlorine molecule. Okay, so in chlorine molecule, as we know that there is a only two or I can say one pair of electron are sharing. Rest of the electrons are not taking part in the bond formations, and that particular electron are known as a non-bonding electron. Okay. So similar, this kind of electrons are stable in non-bonding orbitals. So in ligand field theory, it is also assumed that the molecular orbital are formed by overlapping of orbital from the ligand with the atomic orbital of the central atom. Okay, so there is a as you know that there always with the sharing of electron you can make a molecular orbital from atomic orbital. Okay, so here you have to just remind that there is a central is a metal atom, and ligand is always make a molecular orbital with central atom electron of the central atom, and the molecular orbital thus formed may be of the bonding, anti-bonding, or non-bonding character. So anti-bonding orbital are similar to the bonding orbital, except anti-bonding orbital is lie in higher energy, as I told you, and this is the one of the most important things. They have some kind of nodes. Okay, so here you can see here this is a node, and we had already discussed in quantum mechanics that the probability of finding electrons in nodes is approximately zero. Okay, or we can say region of low density electron between the central metal atom and ligand. So the antibonding orbital are interested because of the is into which electron may be excited from T2g orbital by absorption of energy. And as we know that always, like my electron are always in lower set or a ground state. So from that, if I'm applying some kind of radiations or energy to my this bonding electron, it always go to some upper excited state. Okay, so that particular upper excited state here is known as anti-bonding orbital. Okay, so the non-bonding orbitals in octahedral complex are simply as a like dx, dy, dz you can denote, and these are orbitals of the central atom. Okay, and number of molecular orbital formed is always equal to the number of atomic orbital taking part in overlapping, and the number is quite larger for complex process. So as we have already seen in my previous slide, like we are taking two hydrogen atom to form a hydrogen molecule. So we need two atomic orbital, and from these two atomic orbital we have already seen two molecular orbital. One is bonding side, another one is non-bond anti-bonding side. Okay, so the fact that sigma as well as pi added more complicated to this diagram. Okay, so that we will see later part. So as I told you, you have to learn here only octahedral complexes. Okay. So as you know that like in octahedral complexes, there are six ligand which always attack on central metal atom. So here we are considering the metal is here somewhere in central. Okay. And these are the six ligand which are occupied on different axes, and from this they are always attacked on our central metal atom. Okay, so metal can easily do reactions or interaction with all six ligand simultaneously, but the opposite is not true. ठीक है, मेटल जो होगा वो सभी छह लिगान की जो ऑर्बिटल होगी उसके साथ इजीली इंटरेक्शंस करेगा, बट लिगान क्या करेगा कि वो मेटल की किसी भी एक ऑर्बिटल के साथ ही एक लिगान इंटरेक्ट कर पाएगा. Okay, so this is the limitations of ligand. So in octahedral complex, metal ion is surrounded by six ligand which is placed on this coordinate like plus x plus y minus y plus z minus z. Okay, so these are the log, and there are 9 atomic orbital on the central metal atom if it belongs to 3D series. So how? So as we know that if any kind of metal which contains from a transition series, so it contains 4s orbital or 3 4p orbital and 3d orbital. Okay, so this is 1 and 3 4 and this 5, so total 9 atomic orbitals. Okay, and this orbital can be divided into two group. Either it may form like sp32 hybridizations. So if it will form sp32 hybridizations, so first the electron is in s, then p, and then your d orbital. Okay, so we need only six vacant orbital, as we know that we have a six ligand. Okay, so that's why we have selected 4s and 4p orbital and two 3D orbital. So one thing you have to remind, you have to choose always a combination, either T2g or EG. So this is like T2g. Okay, so 3dz square and 3x square minus y square orbital. So these orbital lobes lying along the axis, and the orbitals by overlapping with ligand orbitals from 6 metal ligand, a bond or molecular orbital. The remaining three orbitals of central metal atom do not participate in pi bonding, hence they are act as a non-bonding. Okay, that we have already discussed earlier, like dxy, divisor, and dzx, they can act as a non-bonding orbital. However, pi bonding in octahedral complex is by overlapping sidewise and with pi orbital of the same six ligand that are approaching central metal ion from both the side, that is like plus x. So the interactions with ligand or orbital and metal orbital is like parallelly, because they are forming a pi bonding. Okay, so there it may be either from plus side or minus or both side. It's okay. So this is the notations that you have to remind here. Okay, like if dx square minus y square and dz square, so either you can say or write like eg, g stands for Girard. Okay, if you have s orbital, so you can write a1g. If you have like p orbital series, so you can write t1u, u denote for un-Girard, that we will see how what is the difference between Girard and un-Girard. And if you have like dxy, yz and zx orbital, so you can easily write at t2g, that we have already seen. Okay, so e orbitals are always non-degenerated, e orbitals are double degenerated. Okay, t orbitals are triple degenerated, g expressed for Girard and u expressed for un-Girard, that we will see how. So this is the overlapping, like this is a positive overlapping. Okay, and this is a zero overlap. Like if I have a one p orbital and one s orbital, so the overlapping will never achieve. Okay, or like if I have this kind of p orbital, one is like px and another one is pz, so it is also not possible. Okay, so the two terms that you have to understand here, one is the Girard and another one is un-Girard. Okay, so for this, what you have to do, you have to do yeah, some kind of operations on your orbital. So I didn't first you have to do C2 operations. Okay, C2 operations means what? You have to rotate your orbital at 180 degree. Okay, and and same you have to also do rotations. First rotation is based on x-axis and another one rotation is based on the y-axis. Okay, you have to rotate 180 degree. Suppose I have a s orbital, so initially I have to rotate like this. Okay, and the another one rotation is like this, and as we know that the shape of s orbital is like a circular, and if we are rotating in any directions we will get a same structure like circular. Okay, so we can say s orbital is Girard. So same thing, all the orbital is called Girard orbital if on transversing equal distance in a straight line in opposite directions from the center of symmetry, and the sign of wave function does not change. Okay, so for this you have to just do these things, you have to give rotations. Okay, and this is the example of dxy, dzx and dxy minus y square as Girard, whereas the only p orbital if we are taking it is a non-Girard, that we will see how. So suppose if I have a py orbital, so first I have to give rotations along with x-axis. So I am rotating like this. So my these lobes will come downside and these lobes will come upside. Okay. Then I have to give rotations along with y-axis like this. So if you are observing, these lobes remain on downside and this empty lobe remains upward side. So both the lobe direction is changed. Okay, so I can say if I am considering only p orbital, okay, so they always form un-Girard state. Okay, so similarly here if I'm talking about x square minus y square, so this is my x square lobe and this is for y square lobe. Okay, so first what I have to do, I have to rotate it. So this is an empty lobe, it will come downside. This is a empty lobe, it will go upside. Okay, and if I am rotating 180 degree, this lobe will go here, this lobe will go here, so my structure remains same. Okay, so I can say this is my Girard. uh, so this is like some kind of bonding. So if I have a SS bonding, if I will do rotations x-axis along with y-axis, I will get the same structure or same symmetry, so I can say this is my Girard orbital. Similarly, this is one of the important thing. If I have a bond formations with 2p orbital, okay, so it always form a Girard structure. Similarly, p with d, you will get a Girard. Okay. If you have a like this kind of sigma star, okay, they are always anti-bonding. See, if you are observing here, everything is changed. So this is a anti-bonding, or you can say this is a Girard, un-Girard structure. So if you have a like a sigma star or some kind of orbital bonding orbital is there, anti-bonding orbital is there, so they are always un-Girard. So these things you have to remind. Okay. So Girard orbital has a inversion center, whereas un-Girard orbital has a no inversion center. Okay, inversion means what? If you are rotating from anything, so you will get a same symmetry. So sigma bonding orbitals are always Girard and sigma anti-bonding orbitals are un-Girard. As I told you, if you have a like anti-bonding, you have to write always un-Girard. So if there is only pi bonding orbital, they are un-Girard. So it's opposite. Uh, if I have pi anti-bonding, so they are always Girard. Okay. So s and d orbitals are always Girard, whereas p orbitals alone are always un-Girard. And the formations of group or composite ligand orbital. Okay, this diagram we have already discussed, and I already told you like uh, on metal can ability to make or to do reactions with all the ligands at a time. Okay, but ligand don't have this kind of capacity. So metal orbital will be in position to overlap simultaneously with several ligands, which may in turns belong to different ligands, but same is not true for ligand. So before overlapping, six ligand orbitals combine together linearly to form six group and sigma orbital that would be capable of overlapping with central metal atom. And the determinations of such linear combinations of ligand sigma orbital is made by inspection method, which is straightforward and Cummins method. And the linear combinations of ligands are called composite ligand orbital. So suppose if this is your metal and this is your lobes of the ligand, if all ligands in octahedrals they are always point towards the center metal atom. Okay, so you have to do summations. Okay, so this is the like for sigma, this is a sigma x, this is a sigma x minus, this is a lobe of sigma y and plus, and this is a sigma lobe of x minus, right? And this is a z side. Okay, so you have to just do the plus. Okay, and the summation is like 1 upon root 6 into bracket sigma x plus sigma x minus, like this. But if you have don't get the idea of how can write I this, just you have to remind this one. Like if you are considering on the ones on the only x directions, then like summation of x is always 1 upon root 2. What you have to write, sigma x plus sigma x minus, like this you have to remind. Okay, this is for p orbital, that's why here is minus. Okay, I am talking about this. So suppose if you are in exam, if you think it is very difficult to remind me, so you have to remind me only for x-axis, like for here, like plus, for this plus and this plus. So if you are doing summation of all sigma x plus sigma y and sigma z, so you will get your this answer. Okay. But for PO orbital overlapping, as we already know that it always forms some kind of un-Girard structure, so just you have to do minus here. Okay. So overlapping of p orbital, the composite orbital can be find out, and px is like you have to consider sigma x minus sigma x minus. Similarly for py, you have to consider y sigma, and pz just my. Okay, so you can write like this. Similarly, you can also write for dx square minus y square. So it's very easy. You have to take a summation of sec x square and summation of minus y square. So like 1 upon root 2 into sigma x minus sigma x whole square. Similarly, you can do for y also. Okay, and just give the minus, so you will get these things. And for z square, you will get these functions. Okay, so it's very easy. You can remind by yourself. So formations of molecular orbital. Okay, so in next step, six atomic orbital of central metal atom like this, six overlap with six group of ligand. Okay, and forming six sigma bond and six sigma anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, So these are the six bonding as antibonding orbitals. Okay. For example, like 4s and sigma a on overlapping gives sigma s bonding as well as sigma star antibonding molecular orbital. Similar for px, like summation x overlapping sigma x bonding and sigma star. If you are taking py summation of y overlapping, you will get a sigma y type bonding and sigma star. For pz sigma z, you have to consider sigma z bonding and anti-bonding. If you are taking x square minus y square, you have to consider sigma x square minus y square, so you will get a bonding and anti-bonding accordingly. And if you are taking a 3d z square, okay, and sigma z square, so overlapping, you will get sigma z square bonding and sigma star anti-bonding. Okay, so the remaining three orbital on central atom can act as a non-zero. So there are total 15 molecular orbitals are available for electron filling. So uh, like this is the total availability. Okay, so as we know that five or atomic orbitals from metal ligand for 3D. Okay, one for 4s and three 4p. Okay, and this is octahedral complex, so six orbitals from the ligand. So if you are doing total, so 5 and 6 and 3 9 and 6 15. So total you will get here 15 molecular orbitals. Okay, so this is the summation of individual atomic orbital, we can say. Okay, so all the 15 molecular orbitals are shown in figure, and the number of electron which make group of orbital can hold is given in bracket. So here this T1 G, it can hold 2 electrons. Similar A1G also can hold 2 electrons. EG can hold 4 electrons because 2. T2G, it's excited state, as we know that, so like 6 electron. Okay, and similarly this is the star. Okay. So filling of molecular orbital. Now, once the ligand will come near to your metal atom, how they can fill the ligand orbitals? So, like as I told you, always ground state are always stable. So always the electron will first fill at lower state. So from like T1G, A1G, EG, and then it will go to excited state. Okay. So filling the molecular orbital occurs according to the outbox principle. So with D complex, the T2G and EG orbital will fill up in just the same way as the crystal fill theory. For example, illustration, if I have a D3 octahedral complex, so the atomic number of chromium is 24. And as we know that if I am removing 3 electrons, so 2 electron from 4s and 1 from 3d, so there are 3 electron remain in chromium outermost orbital. And these things we had already learned in last semester. Mostly any kind of ligand, if it is a neutral, they must contain one lone pair of electron, sorry, one pair of electron. Okay, so one pair of electron means what? Two electrons. Okay, one pair of electron, not a lone pair. Okay, I'm not talking about lone pair, one pair of electron. So I have a 6 atom of ammonia, and each ammonia contain one pair of electron. So 6 into 2, 12, and chromium contain 3 electrons, so there are total 15 electrons are there, and we have a 15 molecular orbitals. Okay, so in this complex there is a total 15 electrons, 12 from 6 metal ligand orbitals overlapping and 3 from the metal d ligand. So these electrons are to be accommodated. So out of 15, 12 electrons are accommodated in 6 bonding HEMO, that is at lower, as I told you, like T1G, AG, and EG, whereas the remaining go through the triple degenerative state. Initially it will go like this here. Okay, orbital in unpaired state, so initially they will remain as a unpaired. Okay, and if you have more electron, then it will go towards the anti-bonding. So the energy difference between T2G and EG, the degenerate set of orbital, is referred to as a delta. And as we know that this is a in crystal field theory, this is the energy. Uh, uh, okay. And there is a difference in crystal field theory and ligand field theory for calculations of delta value. In crystal field theory, we have to consider the electrostatic repulsion is generated by my ligand when it interact with matter. Okay, so whereas in molecular orbital theory, I have to consider this covalent bonding. Okay, and which produce one set of non-bonding orbital T2G and another high energy anti-bonding orbital EG. Okay, so this is the little bit difference. Whereas in molecular orbital theory, concept is same for like high spin and low spin like crystal field theory. Okay, and the magnitude of delta means crystal field energy decide the choice between a high or low spin complexes. Okay, and as we know that last year I have told you, like if you have like ligand which can act as a strong ligand like cyanide, so in they can influence for pairing, and if you are like a weak ligand like fluorine, so they do not influence electron for pairing. So in that case you will get a high spin complex, and if you are like a strong ligand like cyanide, so you will get a low spin complex. So suppose if I have a like hexafluoro or complex of cobalt, okay, and the value of delta is very small, and the distributions of electron between T2G and EG star occurs as like T24G and EG star 2. So here in T2G there are 4 electrons, and here there are 2 electrons. Okay, so that's why this make a high spin complex. Okay, so the distributions also explain why COF bond in complex are not very strong. The reason is that the presence of two electron in antibonding orbital reduce the strength of CO bond. Okay, and it is also important to remember high spin complex contain electrons in their antibonding orbital, and this also explains why such complex are relatively less stable. So, and this is the another thing. Once we have discussed about the sigma bonding, and now you have to consider of pi bonding in octahedral complex. So the metal orbital used for pi bonding orbital are, this is a dxy, yz, dzx, or you can like dzx or minus t2g, or you can write like capital T2g, or px, py, pz, or minus t1u, which is a denote for unchirad, or you can like capital T1u. Okay, so from the above, it follows that T1u orbitals are involved in as well as pi overlaps, whereas T2g involves in pi overlaps. Okay, so the ligand orbitals which take part in pi overlaps are generally p pi and d pi orbital, and in figure the positions of various p orbitals of ligands are shown, p pi orbitals. Okay, so here I have shown you like this is a metal, and this is the first one ligand orbital, this is the second one ligand and its orbital, uh, this is the third ligand and its orbital, this is a fourth ligand and its orbital, fifth ligand and its orbital, and this is a sixth ligand and its orbital. Okay, so and or you can write like this is for first one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one, like this. Okay, so in the arrow indicates the directions of positive lobe of this orbital. Each ligand will have a two such a pi orbitals at the right angles to the each other, which is shown in figure. And the composite ligand orbital for this can be evolved as before. For example, the composite ligand of orbital for px orbitals of metal you can write like this: pi 3x, 4x, 5x, 6s. Okay, like this. So for dxz, like you can draw orbital like this. Okay, and this is for pi 1, this is for pi 2, this is for 5 and 6. Okay, so if you can see here, this is like similar parallel to this lobes. Okay, so for this you can write this is a positive, and this is also you can get a positive value. Okay, so this is a pi 1.
and it is on right hand side, means positive side, so I can write sign here positive. Pi 2 is on this negative side, minus x side, so here I have to use this notations minus. This is a upper side which is a positive side of axis, so this I have to denote for positive, and for pi 6 it is on downside, so I can write like minus. Okay, so such type of pi orbitals are present in ligand like oxide and fluorides, and this orbital have a lower energy than metal pi orbital. So in pi overlaps, 18 molecular orbitals are formed. Okay, 6 from metals and 12 from ligands, and 2 pi orbitals on each ligand. Okay, so total that's why 16 orbitals are there. Out of these, 6 are bonding and 6 are non-bonding, and 6 remain as a anti-bonding. And it is important to remember that T1 G star, T2 G star have the similar ligand combinations as T1 G and T2 G pi, but with even other sign in a linear combination reverse. And similarly for like T2 G pi star and T1 mu pi star have the same combinations of this, but the sign is. So this is the molecular orbital of my complex, and this is the orbital of my metal and ligand. Okay, and the magnitude of delta is increases according to the nature of ligand in following order. Okay, so like strong pi donor has the lowest value, and strong pi acceptor has the highest value. Okay, and there are various applications you can find in metal or coordinations compound. So first is and well-known example is dyes. As we know that mostly d orbital atom contain they have a coloring nature due to the transitions of their electron. So mostly they are using for dyeing purpose also. Okay. So the characteristic of coordination compound will indicate their use as a dye, and Alfred Burnett demonstrated the relations of coordination with the dyeing, and he showed that the several compounds which were capable of forming metal chelate compound and were able to dye clothes pre-treated with ferric hydroxide, and the first complete study of coordinate compound as a dye was given by G.T. Morgan and his co-worker in 1920. It can also act as a very good catalyst, like many enzymes which serve as a catalyst in living system are coordinate compound. For example, decompositions of hydrogen peroxide in presence of catalyst, you will get water and oxygen. So this catalyst compound include the iron. Okay. So this is evident from the following points, like ordinary hydrated ferric ions has a relative activity of unity, and the coordination compound of iron like heme which is present in blood has a relative activity of 1000, and the catalase heme surrounded by the complicated protein such as a relative catalytic activity of 10 billion. So you can use some kind of applications in analytical techniques. So these things this practical you have done in previous semester, like you made a complex of iron with 8 hydroxyquinoline, and you found the a Boole ratio of iodine to 8 hydroxyquinoline, that you have that practical you had already performed in last semester. And if I want to extract any kind of metal, okay, so what I have to do, suppose both iron and aluminum can easily form complex with 8 hydroxyquinoline, and iron complex is easily soluble in chloroform, so iron 3 can be separated from alumina around pH 3 by additions of 8 hydroxyquinoline followed by the extraction of the chloroform. Even it can also used for complex isometric titration. So these titrations due to pandemic situations we were not able to perform, otherwise you have to perform this complexometry titrations in this semester. So for this you need EDTA as a titrant, and you have to take some kind of metal uh, for complexometric titrations, and you have to use either eochrome black tea and neuroxide. Okay, so such complexometric titrations are used in determination of also water hardness, and this procedure affords various advantages compared to old and laborious palmitate titrations. So these are some another titrations for spectrometric estimations of micro amounts of metals. Okay, then you can separate the ions, then you can synthesize the natural reagent with for detections of ammonia. So if you can see the structure of natural reagent, it is a complex of mercury. And you can separations for copper and cadmium, it can use for separations of nickel and cobalt. Then reactions with yellow ammonium sulfide and separate for second groups, and for gravimetric estimation also. Even it can use for photography also. As you can see in earlier, there is some kind of roll. So the roll is always coated with some kind of silver halide, and if you want to develop this image, you have to dip that particular roll into sodium thiosulfate solution, so it forms some kind of complexes and you will get your images. Even you can use for extractions of some kind of noble metal like Ag and Au. You can extract with or by formations of complex with like cyanide or chloride. And for artificial silk, you can uh, the artificial silk tetramine copper hydroxide complex is used. And this is the last biological application. So number of metal complexes are of biological importance. For example, hemoglobin in the red blood cell contain the iron porphyrin complex. Chlorophyll 2 in green plants contain magnesium porphyrin complex, and in vitamin D there is a cobalt complex. So this is the your end of the chapter.